share about grace and truth. And at first, I was going to actually go in the Bible and look up verses about that, and then I guess do a little preaching on them. But every time I tried to do that, the Lord would redirect me. And after praying and praying and praying for weeks, the Lord put on my heart to actually share my testimony with all of you. I know that the Lord is full of grace and truth. I know that he has always been with me, watching over me and protecting me. When I was a baby, first I just want to say, it's one thing to go through things and it's another thing to share them in front of everybody, so a little nervous. Okay. When I was a baby, my alcoholic father didn't want me. He was about to throw me across the room into a wall, but God intervened and stopped him. In preschool, a male teacher molested me. He told me if I said anything that he'd kill me and my family, so I kept that secret until just a couple years ago. At the age of 12, my grandma taught me about the Lord, and I gave my life to Christ. But in 8th grade, I strayed from God. I developed an eating disorder. I was both anorexic and bulimic. My weight actually dropped from 160 pounds to only 90 pounds, only in a few months. I began actually cutting myself. Every time I was upset or sad, I would pick up a knife and just carve it into my flesh. And I have still a bunch of scars and they all needed stitches, and I look at them every day. My stepdad, he was an alcoholic and a crystal meth addict. My mom was actually a workaholic. And when they were both home together, all I remember was them yelling and fighting. My dad was never there for me. 3 years ago, he ended up getting drunk and actually putting his hand up my shorts and touching me. I never wanted to be at home, so I'd sneak out a lot. One night, I snuck out of my bedroom and went to meet up with a guy. That guy punched me. I blacked out. I woke up in a pool of blood and hitchhiked home. It was a miracle from God I wasn't kidnapped or killed. The first time I drank was in high school at a party. There I blacked out and was actually beaten and raped by half a dozen boys. I was in a relationship for 4 years. When I tried to leave him, he locked me in his garage and beat me to a pulp. Then he drugged me and actually held me captive for days. But God was not going to let me die in that garage. I escaped through a window and ran home. I was in another abusive relationship, and I was forced to have 2 abortions. For 15 years, I've actually struggled from severe depression. I've even tried to commit suicide 6 times. 3 times I ended up in psychiatric wards. And just the last time, I actually grabbed a loaded gun, put it to my head, and pulled the trigger. But again, by the grace of God, that bullet just went right past me. It had to have been from the kickback of it, and it totally missed me. For the past 10 years, I have been addicted to drugs. 2 years of using cocaine and 8 years of using opiates, benzos, and muscle relaxers. Just this December, I was up to snorting 40 pills a day and taking countless amounts of pills. I knew I needed help. I was done living this life of evil. Due to all those pills I was taking, I suffered from panic attacks. I'd stopped breathing at night. I actually had a heart attack. And I now have an enlarged heart because of that. I ended up having an affair, which led me to my husband and I actually signing divorce papers. I totaled my car after slamming it into a wall at 80 miles an hour. I wasn't even wearing a seatbelt. I could have been thrown from my car and killed. My husband and I found one of our friends dead after his heart exploded due to years of pill use and alcohol. I mean, those pills were the devil. They really were. They tempt you and make you feel good at first, then they'd end up trying to take your life. So in January of this year, I begged God to pull me out from the dark place I was in. The Lord guided me to Covenant Hills, a Christian-based rehab. I was first medically detoxed because withdrawing by myself would have taken my life. I spent 28 days in rehab. It was then that the Lord really started using me. I ended up ministering to all of the girls there, teaching them how to pray and to read the Bible. I attended church twice a week and Bible studies 4 times a week. I arrived home only 52 days ago, and one night I went outside and I asked Jesus to forgive me of all my sins. I rededicated my life to Christ that night. Then a couple weeks ago, Pastor Johnny asked me to share about grace and truth. So here I am. So here I am. Even though I've sinned in life, struggled in life, and ultimately was betrayed in life by Satan, I am now on the narrow path, walking with Christ. It's because of God's grace that I am standing here before you today. He's never stopped caring for me or loving me. Jesus is the truth. His word is the truth. I love the Lord with all my heart and soul, and I'm so blessed to be living through him. And as Ephesians 2:8 says, "For by grace you are saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is a gift of God."